Alright fellas, welcome to this video. So I'm addressing this video specifically to all the young men out there who are struggling to figure out what they're doing in life and how they're going to get ahead, and also feeling like the world is heading in a really strange direction between job market collapsing, between the social dynamics of everything, like men, friendships, relationships, all that sort of stuff. Because I feel like the sentiment for my age bracket, being 22 to the 30, let's say, is experiencing quite a large shift in the way the world's been. Now, the world traditionally had structure, it had a progression line you could follow, and I feel like that is getting stripped away bit by bit, and the actual speed of that happening is getting exaggerated deeply by the advent of AI, the financial fiat collapse. You've got social decay, you've got the West quite literally decaying in front of us, you've got more war threats, all these sorts of catalyst events that are taking place. So if you're like myself, you're looking at this stuff and you're thinking, what the hell is going on? This is just like, okay, when I was 18, COVID happened. Now I'm 22. Now there's no jobs, as they say, and opportunities very thin and all that sort of stuff. So it leads you to start making very aggressive assumptions about the world and how things actually are that weren't traditionally thought of. It's like how it's probably quite hard to relate to your boomer grandfather who had a very different life, where it was go to school, go to university, get a job, and get employment just like that. And when I say get employment, I mean, like, have a progression ladder you could follow without the threat of like, okay, I'm going to lose my job, and also with the purchasing power to go buy a house. Now, I'm not saying you can't get a job, because I have a job and all that sort of stuff, and I invest and I do that sort of everything like that. But I'm saying for the average man, it's a lot more difficult than it's ever been, okay? Now, in terms of comfortability, we're more comfortable in the sense that, we got fridges, we got all these sorts of modern amenities, but traditionally throughout history, you didn't have them. So in many ways, life is better, but I would say with the root thing that men need, which is like the soul, something that soothes the soul, which is really purpose, growth, and progression, and ability to provide and feel useful. I feel like that specifically weighs far more than if you have a couch and a computer at your house, for a male especially. Being comfortable isn't necessarily what's going to bring you happiness. In fact, I think it's usually the opposite way. I think you need to be uncomfortable and you need to be pushing forward to be happy. And when I say happy, I mean like fulfilled, because I don't believe the state of euphoria is something that you should want to be in anyway all the time. You want to be in a state of fulfillment and feeling like you're valued, and that's what you'll be bringing to other people. So where am I going with this? I'm trying to say that it's very, very strange and difficult when you're my age and you're trying to navigate this, but you don't have much assets behind you. Now, it's a different story if you're a 40-year-old male. You've got a family, you've got a big asset base, all that sort of stuff. When you're at my age bracket, it's you kind of literally just started into the workforce. So to sit there and expect to have millions of dollars already is quite ridiculous, considering people can't even get jobs now, since the job market's so stuffed up. So what I'm trying to lead with this is we need to take extreme actions to fix this up. Okay, so if you're in England, Australia, all these Western countries, essentially the economy is going to crap. The housing market is built upon the old people holding it up. People taking obscene amounts of debt, which is locking themselves in a massive loan, which is essentially a prison cell, because it means you're forced to stay in the job you're in, which means you have no mobility for risk taking. I mean, you can't take risk. Your surface area for making opportunities decreases because you're stuck in that same job where you have to show up there. And what that means is you're socially stuck. So you can't move up any ladders, you can't ascend and increase your status, whatever you want to call it, and put yourself in new circles, because whether you like it or not, the reality of the world is dog eat dog, and it works via circles, proximity, and location. So if you just pushed yourself into a very deep loan or something like that, and you're stuck in this situation, well then good luck getting out of it, because you have obligations to pay for. Now, I think this is a reason why birth rates are tanking, because when you have housing that's quite literally unaffordable for the youth. They have nowhere to get out of mum and dad's, or if they do, they go rent, but they have $0. So obviously that's not a very family-friendly environment, okay? So the amount of young men engaging in relationships and families and all that's obviously lower, and they're less viable too because they can't provide anything. And obviously, as a man, your duty is to provide, whether you like it or not. So if you don't do that, yes, I know dynamics have changed with women working and everything, but I think, you know, the base case is still the expectations of the guy to carry, right? Whether you like it or not, that's just reality of the world. So, where am I leading with this? In terms of the actions, I am really thinking that it's time to leave these sort of countries and get into a place where you have proximity to very, very wealthy people, capital flowing into that environment. For example, you have countries like Dubai, you have countries, well, the UAE is quite good right now from what I'm researching. I'm heading over there in 10 days, so we'll suss that out. And by the way, this isn't a get-rich-quick scheme, all this sort of stuff. And I'm just talking about environment first, and then we'll get into asymmetric bets next. But environmentally, you're really talking about moving to a place where you have proximity to wealthier people and better opportunities, because people are the gatekeepers to your opportunities, whether you like it or not. So you can sit there on your high horse and say, well, I'm an introvert, I don't talk to people. Well, guess what? Whether you like it or not, the world is run by people, and it's your duty to get out there and get dirty. Now, I'm specifically talking for dudes who don't have trust funds and they have to figure out their self when they're literally entering an economic war zone, and they can't really gain independence, and they get stuffed around by people wasting their time, wasting their energy, all that sort of stuff. So if you're in that camp of guys, you're on board with me because you know what's happening. Now, so we covered environment. There's a lot more countries than just Dubai and whatever. You can research that. Ask ChatGPT, ask it. I'd say the preconditions would be, where's capital flowing? Where can you be that's going to increase your surface area for luck in terms of opportunities? So it's going to be industry specific too. If you're in crypto, it's going to be Dubai. If you're in like a different industry, it's going to be a different country, right? So you go where the capital's flowing in your industry, whatever you pick. Now, I don't know how long everything's going to last considering AI's here, but all I know is you damn well might as well try, because if you sit around and slink away into irrelevance, well then guess what? That's all that's going to happen. So you might as well shoot big and try. Because I feel like the biggest risk now is not taking a risk. Because if you don't take risk in this day and age, man, you don't even know if your job's going to be around the next 5 years or so. So what's the point of betting on that and betting on the security of your employer when the financial system is literally dying? Fiat currency is dying. Everything's coming to a close soon. The system's either going to have to change, or it's going to implode, or whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But it's not looking good, guys. I see the data very deeply. I tell you, I see it firsthand. Things are progressively going to get worse before they get better. So I think people have this false assumption that, oh yeah, things are bad, so they're going to flip and get better. No, I think things will get worse before they get better. Just like how wars happen and then people literally got decapitated. We just had a really very soft time through that post-World War II. The world was being built, and opportunity was everywhere. Families being born, baby boomer generation, GDP increasing. Now it's like not that stuff. That's not happening. In developed countries, you're seeing social decay. You're seeing less family structures being made. All this sort of stuff as a whole. Now, I'm not saying. I'm just putting out generalizations here, guys. And the reason I'm doing that is because you have to make a plan based on generalizations and where you move and make decisions. Because if you look at statistics and probabilities, it's all about increasing your probabilities for what you want to get. So if you want to statistically and probability-wise increase your odds of X, Y, Z, you need to know what the general data set is saying. So, like, you can't be benching your life off the 8th standard deviation. Okay, so your base plan goes on the deviation of what's really the mean, right? What's actually happening in the world, where that's taking place, and then obviously you can take moonshots and opportunities and just see what happens out of that. But yeah, there's not many options now for young men, so it's looking pretty grim. So if you're a young guy and you know what I'm talking about, let me know in the comments down below. Now, I'd say the worst thing you can do in this age bracket is really get depressed and start to hate yourself and wonder why you can't provide or whatever it is. Now, luckily, I've done the hard work and put myself in a solid situation, but it's still not good enough for where I'm trying to go. I am deeply unsatisfied with where I'm at now still, and I think you have to be if you're a high achiever and you want to do better. So, yeah, I think if you take the precautionary steps to get to that next level, and yeah, it's damn hard, but what's the point of not trying? You might as well give it a shot, because if you don't try, you're going to be in the same situation you were in before. So, asymmetric bets. We just covered environment. Let's get to that. Asymmetric bets, okay? So asymmetric bets would be under the scope of investment, certain actions that you take. Now we'll start with investing. In terms of investing, I'd say you want to be in the asset which is the highest CAGR and potential for growth. So what is that specifically right now in this day and age? I think Bitcoin is extremely good. Now, if you're an AI stock picker, maybe that's one thing for you. I doubt it. I think Bitcoin's your safest bet. I think investing overall is going to be the safest bet. Gold and silver, those asset classes. Now, you just got to think of under the precondition of what's happening. Fiat currency is going to die, so what's going to hold its value? Well, limited reserves of stuff, okay? So it's going to be your metals, that's going to be your Bitcoins, that's going to be certain asset types, property, whatever. Now, the reality is we can't even get into property when you're my age. So if you do, maybe you get a huge loan out or something. So that's all good and all, but you got to take the next step you can do, that makes sense, which is going to be that. Okay, so gold, silver, Bitcoin. Now, next step. What's another action you can pull that gives you asymmetric returns? Make a personal brand. Pick a niche, make a brand, network in it, try to go under an agency, whatever it is to get yourself in a better network of communities. Because if you're like me and you're in Australia, you know that everyone here tends to have tall poppy syndrome, and no one's really trying anything. Everyone's okay living in a bubble, knowing the world's not actually knowing the world's collapsing, but probably feeling it because of how hard things are in terms of like getting monetary gain for a young man. Now, I'm not saying our lives are hard, but I'm saying that the difficulty lies in the acquisition of material items and acquisition of friendships, relationships, those sorts of things that are more so than just, you know, having a beer with someone. So if you're in, it's like, this is a very specific type of video. It's for guys that are actually ambitious and want to do something with their lives. I know there's like a 70% camp of dudes who can't be bothered doing anything, and you know what, quite frankly, stuff them, because that ain't me. I know what I'm doing, I know where I'm heading, and you know, I'm at that age now where I don't have tolerance for these time wasters, man. Like, life is short. Are you gonna waste time with low energy people? So yeah, there's a lot to enjoy in life still, but you have to plan accordingly. And when you're my age, you gotta be smart, because you know, time tends to tick by quick. Now, under that scope of asymmetric bets, I would say constantly network and reach out and build things. You want to be in a builder's state of where you're always producing something. There's some sort of output coming out every day, every week, okay? Whether that's content, whether that's a trade, whether it's talking to someone who's more important than you, okay? When you're young, you're not important. You've got nothing going for you, so get important somehow. For everyone, that's going to be a specific journey. And the reality of the situation is it's going to be harder and harder because AI is coming and you're going to be less important because your informational asymmetry is very low. But like I said, all you can do is try, because if you don't try, well, stay in your mum's basement and cry. That's what you can do. So yeah, informational asymmetry, I would say, yeah, get in the right rooms, the right networks, put yourself in the right situations. As you know, you can watch my previous videos, I speak more about this, okay? Number, whatever I was on. I would say don't play the status game, because the status game isn't useful. Play the frequency game. Now, let me explain what I mean. You being 22 and sinking $50,000 into a brand new car that's going to depreciate $20,000 in the first year is a stupid decision to make. Because the reality of the situation is no one's going to give a damn about your damn car, okay? No one's going to care about your full drive. No one's going to care about it. Now, if you want that car, you probably don't have to get it that expensive. If you really want something, then yeah, go get it. But do you have to blow that much money? Because the novelty of things wears off pretty quick, okay? And it's like, it's a full drive, whatever it is in life, right? But the reason I'm saying this is because you need to build capital. Because we're at an age where if you don't have capital, you're gonna get punished. So in the age of extraction, now let me explain this. There's a lot to talk about. Post World War II, the world was in a builder's economy, okay? Everything was being built, families were being born, GDP was growing at a very fast rate. You basically had a massive growth curve in the chart of human history. Now, since then, we've seen a very, very large reduction in that sort of way the world was, okay? So technology's sort of plateaued now. besides AI. So AI is growing, but like, phones and stuff haven't changed much. We're seeing a lot of these majority of things. Hold on, let me just get a cough out. The majority of things have already been invented, okay? So the scope of things you can invent are pretty damn low. Now, if you're watching this, you're probably not someone who's going to invent the iPhone, invent this new device that's going to be the next new thing. So really, your options are sort of limited. Where was I going with this? So, yeah, like I said, guys, it's very important that you understand this, because when you shift from the builder economy to the extraction economy, which is what we're in now, we're in the extraction phase. So you have subscription models, you have all this sort of stuff. We're basically just sucking your money out. Extraction in the sense that asset prices just keep going up, and when you're priced out of them, you can't even get into them. So this very grim outlook, okay? Everyone's renting, everyone's subscribing to things, and you're in the World Economic Forum, you'll own nothing and be happy regime, okay? Under this regime, your life is controlled. You're essentially a slave to the overlords, and it's a very depressing feeling because you're essentially being controlled. And these overlords have a way of dividing people and causing division and arguments and issues and wars and all sort of crap. Typical stuff, ruining the fabric of society, as you do. Again, guys, I'm talking macro. I'm driving on the beach here, like people are fishing and doing normal things in life. I'm just talking on a macro landscape where things are heading, okay? Because I'm a trader by heart, so I know exactly what... I have a good sense on where things move and shift on a macro scale, and I can zoom in and look on a micro scale. Because on a micro scale, normal life is being lived. But on a macro scale, it's like when there was wars happening in, World War II, there was normal lives being lived too. You just had a macro crack in the world. So the same thing's happening now. And I actually think the answer to this thing is actually solvable. I think if you just get your investments right, I think if you create the right inner circle of fellow men who are on the same page as you, okay, I think if you get your location right, and you just try every day, okay, I think you got a good chance of creating some sort of success for yourself. Like, I'm not gonna be full into this stupid mindset where it's like, oh, everything's bad, so let me just give up and let me not try. I think that's gay. It's stupid. You don't want to be doing that. So yeah, if you're anything like me, I think more than ever, guys, it's time to try as hard as we've ever done to be creative in our solutions, to reach out to people we thought who are ahead of us. Because you got to use a bit of foresight and perspective shifting. People who are ahead of you have resource, they have assets. They don't have to chase for things like you at 18 or 22, where everything feels like you have to chase for it. That's, because you're in the building phase of life. So you can think of it like this. The older folks were in the building phase of life, and the world was in the building phase of life. So they had two and two together. So basically the wind was going with them. When the wind goes with you, it's a lot easier to build. So you got your house for cheap, you grew equity with time, all that sort of stuff. Now, the wind's against us. Now that doesn't mean we can tack and tow, right? Now what I mean by tack is, in sailing, it's a term for essentially going toward the wind, but like taking a different, I don't know if that's the exact word for it, but whatever the case is, it's basically taking a pivot, but you're still getting the right direction, but you're going there in an unorthodox way. Because we can't be caught using the boomer playbook in the new world. Like, that's a recipe for disaster. It's like if you said, I'm not going to use technology at all, and then, okay, don't use technology, and then see how your life turns out now. Every single opportunity I've had that I've created for myself has been generated through technology. My income, half of my income right now is being generated through technology. My normal job, technology. My connections, technology. So if you're gonna sit there and not adapt, you're gonna die out. There's a famous, I don't even know if it's a famous saying, but there's a saying that goes, adapt or die, okay? Now look, I know this is very tiring, but this is the reality of the world we're in now, okay? Whether you like it or not, AI is gonna get better. Capital's gonna be harder to get because it's gonna flow upstream to efficient markets. The rich are gonna get richer, and life's gonna get harder for those who aren't successful. And things can get significantly worse before they get better. Even if they do even get better, let's be honest, we don't know what's gonna happen. And I actually think, here's my predictions, guys. I think the rich are gonna be living the best lives they've ever had because they're gonna have cheap labor, because everyone's gonna be displaced eventually. So people are gonna be desperate for just anything and any share of the pie. I don't think the ownership structure of things is going to change. So assets are going to be owned by the same people still. And when you own assets, you own everything, because you own the network, you own the system, you own mindshare in the real estate, you own everything. That's why I'm saying, guys, the last frontier for us is really the internet. What can we do with the internet? Can we build a brand? Can we build something at least? Like whatever it is, niche it down, crypto, whatever. That's what I'm doing, crypto. It's enabled me to meet a lot of people and make a fair bit of money. So, yeah, there's really not a lot of options here, guys. Let me get this turn going. Now, yeah, look, you have, you got your dole bludgers, you got all these people living on welfare and all that sort of stuff. And hey, they can do that. They can live their lives of mediocrity. I'm not doing that. That's just not going to be happening. So I'm really pushing for opportunity, pushing for growth, and get myself in the right circles of influence and people, because I'm not getting sucked into whatever the heck the standard in Australia is, because it's pretty damn low, right? I want assets, I want ownership, I need a future pathway. So I just don't see a world where that doesn't happen. I believe it's going to happen, and I'm going to work tirelessly to get it to happen. And that's the name of the game, my boys. Now, put some comments down below is what you want me to talk about next in the next video. And that's about all I got to say. So don't get wrecked out there, my friends. Stay safe, stay diligent. Have the foresight to see what's coming, okay? That's what I'd say. And then note to myself, take risk, don't be afraid of things, and make your own opportunities. Don't wait around. So as long as you do that, I think you got a good hope at creating a life that can really be fruitful and go well. So that's what I'd say. I'm just trying to think of anything else that's on my mind, because these are videos I'll go back to and refer to when I'm a 40-year-old man. So that's really why I'm documenting this, so I can document my actions and what I'm doing. And yeah, so I'm even, like I said, I'm going to Dubai in 10 days. I'm meeting some people there for work-related things. And yeah. Oh, back on the topic of status. Yeah, don't buy expensive things and waste your money, because they don't even bring you happiness. What brings you happiness is hard work, purpose, and being in the right direction and creating a life for yourself and getting assets, true assets. That's what creates happiness. Because you'll look back when you're 40 and you'll think, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I get that thing, that asset? You know, you're not going to look back and I'm assuming you're broke, right? If you're actually rich, then you're probably a different story. But if you're broke, then different story. Now, I'm not broke, but I'm not like rich either. So I'm in that weird camp where it's like, you know, you're still stuck in your job, but then you got to try and figure out solutions, and you know, there's pressure on you to provide and create a life for yourself and your family, for future family. So yeah, anyway, that is that. I'll catch you guys next update. For now, yeah, I hope you enjoy that talk, and I'll catch you next one.